Yeah.
All right, we're actually live this time for real.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Hey,
Sit your asses down, crack a cold beer, and get ready to play.
Or enjoy a whiskey. You know, that's always. While I get Mrs. Church to remove Baby Church from the background. All right, guys. Well, welcome to the Gospel of Comics with Church of Failure and Ayrton and our special guest, the American Phoenix. You may know him
What's up, bitches?
You may know him from such antics as trolling Failure on Twitter and actually doing pretty damn well on a weight loss journey. But he is a MCU specialist, and he will be here to tell us how bad the movies were in comparison to the comics. So, what's going on, gentlemen?
You may also know me from getting drunk and asking for nudes. Just that one I got to be honest about.
Well, I mean, as long as you're honest.
Hey, the night's still young.
All right. Well, let me just throw my first screen cap on the screen there, and we'll just jump right into this. All right.
Good.
So, what we're talking about this week, due to popular request last week when we actually had viewers in the chat, we read roughly 80 comics between the two of us, Ayrton and I, to cover Planet Hulk and World War Hulk as a story. And the reason we did that is World War Hulk was what was requested, but you really can't tell that story without Planet Hulk. You have to know why he was so mad to go on a rampage and damn near destroy the Earth, right?
I would say so.
I mean, who amongst us hasn't had that impulse, though? Like, if anything, that just makes Hulk more human.
Well, yeah. The idea of the Hulk, and we're actually going to get into that a little bit. Like I said, I brought production notes to quote Ghost. But no, if anything, the Hulk has always been kind of a tragic figure that reached into to humanity and came up lacking a little bit. I think he was loosely based on Frankenstein's monster, and in his original debut, he was actually supposed to be gray, so we could have ended up with a very Solomon Grundy-like character in the Hulk, but due to a printing error, they changed him to green, and the rest was history.
I knew about the color change, did not know it was because of a printer fuck up.
Well, the color they wanted him
I
to...
thought it was because the gray... I thought it didn't show up well on the paper they used back.
Yeah, the color that they wanted to use...
I thought it was something...
didn't show up because of the printing process. The shading and the halftones didn't show the color well. So instead of being the silverish, dull gray that they wanted, he came out like a blue zombie-like gray, and I think they just they wanted to change it because he was just too muted. He didn't show up, and a couple of fans wrote in, and they were like, "I love the idea, but if you don't put some color to him, I'm never reading another issue." So,
well, I mean, hey, at least they took the advice back when, comic book companies give a fuck about what the readers wanted.
Well, I think that you also get a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? You also get a little bit of God, just a little bit of nostalgia thinking about it, because the transformation of the Hulk, they even reincorporated the gray skin later as a storyline element, and we're gonna see that as we go further.
Yeah, I enjoy Mr. Fix-It Hulk. That's a fun one.
Yeah, that's the name of the Gray Hulk Phoenix, Mr. Fix-It. He actually has a mob mentality. He's almost like a mafia don.
And Wolverine enjoys fucking with him.
Oh yeah. Wolverine and the Hulk.
Well, I mean, it's nice to find Wolverine enjoying anything.
Well, Wolverine.
That's because you don't read comics.
Wolverine was actually introduced in a Hulk comic book, The Incredible Hulk number 181, I believe.
Yes.
So you got
Yeah,
that.
I've never really been much of a comic book guy, but I know a lot about movies.
And
So
well,
I will ask a lot of questions and lend what I can.
well, I actually got burnt out with the comic book movies, probably around Iron Man 2 or 3. Um, the the break from
Yeah,
continuity.
I have to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I can see that. I think, being that I've never really been a comic book guy, I don't have the same, issues with it. Although I was seriously pissed what they did with Deadpool and X-Men Origins.
Right.
That one I knew was fucked up, but being that I don't know the actual stories behind the comic book style, I can kind of just enjoy it as a standalone piece of art.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I don't really know if you can call it art. Let's be honest, fucking comic book movies are just popcorn flicks. They're not winning awards. They're just there to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point of comic books, too, is to be fun. So,
Yeah, people lose track of that in the current culture, but it is supposed to just be something that you can enjoy as opposed to just have to worry about pop culture references and politics seeping into. But anyway, before we get too far off topic, let's actually jump into this story a little bit. We jump into it with, actually, we were talking about this on our first meeting, Ayrton, was the Fantastic Four. You said you enjoyed those stories, and I invited you to check out the Challengers of the Fantastic. Well, this story actually gets its origin from a 3-part miniseries of the Fantastic Four. It was Fantastic Four number 533 to 535 back in 2006. And essentially, the Hulk is kind of, I don't know if you'd call him Professor Hulk, but he's intelligent enough to, actually cooperate with people and be a useful ally in certain situations. He's taken to a cave that supposedly houses a bomb. That's all he's told. It's a bomb. Well, judging by the image on screen, I'm guessing you guys already can tell it's a gamma bomb. So they send him in to dismantle it, which explains why they picked him to do it. So he goes in to try and stop it, and in trying to stop it, he detonates it and takes a full gamma bomb to the face as the Incredible Hulk. Well, obviously that doesn't end up very well, so the Hulk goes missing, if you will. So they contact the Fantastic Four to deal with it, and Reed Richards and Sue Storm are going through a little bit of trouble with the DSS department in Marvel Universe, which kind of makes you wonder how superheroes with kids don't have more issues with the government, because can you imagine having to explain that you saved your daughter from Dr. Octopus and the Scorpion this week, but she definitely wouldn't be better off as a ward of the state. So you've got DSS breathing down Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Girl, so you got Johnny Storm and the Thing going to investigate the situation. These guys take off. They're barely briefed that the Hulk has disappeared after a gamma bomb blew up in his face, and they have a little bit of a back and forth about the ongoing issue. But I'm not going to get too far into the whole DSS thing, because DSS and superhero books, I don't know that I really appreciated that as much as some would. But it was it was the early 2000s. So what do you want?
It was an awkward time for comic book.
Yeah, they were just starting to build back up from the 90s, but it wasn't the time that the SJWs had already infiltrated and I think it was the beginning, and you started to see it break through with certain things, but not in these books.
Yeah.
Like I say, on
Gotcha.
the screen right now, we can see that this is a section of the Straczynski Fantastic Four, and that series has gotten a lot of high praise. Straczynski is a pretty great writer and is actually responsible, if I'm not mistaken, for probably one of the greatest runs of the Incredible Hulk that anyone's ever seen. Or not the Incredible Hulk, the Thor, Mighty Thor. My bad. So anyway, moving on, we find out that the Thing and the Human Torch have been called in to deal with the Hulk, who's rampaging through the Nevada desert, working his way toward Las Vegas. But it's not just any Hulk; it's Joe Fixit, and it's not just
Okay.
any.
Which iteration of the Hulk is this?
This is the primal Gray Hulk.
Oh, this is the original.
Yeah.
Well, kind of original.
Well, yeah. It's the reimagining of the original. But Mr. Fixit is not known for giving a damn about holding back.
Gotcha.
And this isn't the smart Mr. Fixit that has people under him. This is the Mr. Fixit that can fix anything by throwing rocks and smashing it. Well,
And
A philosophy that I have tried to mimic in my everyday life.
and to be fair, sending the Thing and the Human Torch to deal with it was probably like the worst two people they could send.
well,
You're sending a man made of rocks to deal with somebody who solves problems by smashing rocks.
well, yes and no. Something about the Thing's mutation has made him be able to go blow for blow with the original Hulk. Not the original Hulk, but the standard Green Hulk. And they identify with each other on a level. We'll get to that in a little bit. I believe I have a shot of that. If not, then I'm a bad person. But they both self-describe as monsters, and they understand their place in the world as monsters and their necessity, while they'll never be accepted. So maybe they thought that the Thing could kind of rationalize with him more so than anything else, and if not, he could probably punch him harder than anybody else could. So,
Yeah, definitely a possibility.
once they start getting into it, you start seeing these green hazed flashbacks in the comics, and we start to see that even though the Hulk isn't necessarily aware of everything that he does weighs on him in the grand scheme of things. He takes everything that he does into heavy consideration. And every death that he encounters, everyone that dies around him, even if it's not Bruce Banner's, even if it's not Bruce Banner's mind, so to speak, in the Hulk time, he still carries the weight of that loss as the Hulk. So that kind of gives us a monster with a conscious feel, which I think is really nice. I hate it when they depict the Hulk as somebody who's thoughtless and doesn't understand, what he's doing or whatever like that, even after it's done. While he's a rage monster, it makes sense that he has no bearing on what he's doing. But before then, or after he's calmed down, it does still weigh on him as a monster, even. And I think that's kind of what they're trying to set us up for here, because we see a completely different side of the Hulk in the next couple of series that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Nothing. Dead air.
I've always definitely had.
You were on a roll, buddy. I was going to let you keep going.
Oh, I'll go forever if you do that. That's not a good idea. You should stop me. That's why I stop myself occasionally. But no, we'll kind of keep going in this. Like right now, you see on the screen, as long as it's caught up, is Rick Jones and Dr. Banner's first meeting, and we know that Rick Jones was the guy that he saved during the Gamma explosion that turned Bruce Banner into the Hulk. So we're getting a retelling of that, and even though he saved Rick Jones, he still thinks about this every day, like this is the moment that I became the monster.
And it's I like how this comes back into play further along in the story as well.
Right. Yeah. The fact that you really kind of get a parallel to it later on, and then the actual Rick Jones. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. The next flashback that he has is in regards to a character named Jim Wilson. Jim Wilson was a very controversial character at the time. When the Hulk was, I don't know, was it the 90s, the 80s? I can't remember the exact time frame that Jim Wilson was a big deal, but he eventually contracted AIDS and died, which makes me think it was the early 90s, late 80s, because that was the topic of the time. But he asked for a transfusion from the Hulk, and the Hulk refused to do it because he didn't want to mutate Jim Wilson. And one of the books in this series, one of the I guess the pretext books that they put out, had a list of all the gamma mutates, and there were 2-3 dozen of them. Like, there are a lot of people affected by gamma radiation in the Marvel universe that just never get talked about.
Yeah, that happens with a lot of stuff like that. Not just like the gamma mutation, but
yeah, super soldier serum.
You know, there's yeah, exactly, the Weapon X program, all that sort of stuff.
Right. Like we're
Well,
supposed.
I mean, and it really does make sense if you think about it. I mean, they're going to have to show that other people are affected by this stuff, so that's why they keep it on the periphery. But it's not the character, so why even? You know, it's like give it a mention and then let it go.
Right.
Like that's it makes sense to do it, and it also I think is part of drawing back to saying like no, this is a normal person because they're not the only one who's affected by it. They were just the one affected in a different way.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, well, I was more referring to like the like in kind of the more pop culture phase, because like even one who's a little bit more popular, She-Hulk, like she's a great character.
Yeah.
And she's not, at least I don't hear her mentioned in circles nearly as much as just the Hulk or Red Hulk.
Okay, I thought you were talking about in the comic book universe, not in like our world. Okay, so I went on. I gave an excellent answer to something that nobody fucking asked.
Well, it's not even just in the comic book universe, but I mean, think about it in the terms of the real world. You know, we've had all this controversy in regards to Captain Marvel, right? And
Yeah.
Captain Marvel was supposed to be the new face of the MCU. She was supposed to be the standing piece of heroism in a dark, toxic, masculine universe. Even though she was an upstart character that was created as a white female, ultra powerful, no weakness having individual. And then you completely look over characters like Black Widow, who's already established, She-Hulk, who has been the leaders of an all-female Avengers team in the comics already. And it kind of makes
I saw a meme making fun of that.
Yeah.
It was remember the Simpsons and Lisa joined the football team?
Yeah.
It was that, but it's like Captain Marvel. It's like, that's right. A girl wants to be an Avenger. It's like, that's super duper, Carol. We've already got several girls on the Avengers team, and it had Nebula, and it showed all the other girls from the Simpsons, but it had them all listed as like Nebula and the Black Widow and like Gamora, and I can't remember the other one, but it was basically like, calm down, bitch, you're not that special.
Mantis. The Wasp. We could go on for days.
I think that might.
Yeah. Spider Woman.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the fight keeps going between the Hulk and the Thing, and the Thing has some technology from Reed Richards that's supposed to calm the Hulk down and transform him back into Banner. And obviously that doesn't work. But we get another flashback in the meantime of a woman that the Hulk had made not friends with, but a woman the Hulk was romantic with in a previous era of the comic books named Jalera, I believe. She was the princess of the subatomic world Kai that the Hulk had been taken to for some reason or another. I didn't look into her entire backstory, but she fell in love with and was able to bring out the Professor Hulk mentality. So she got Banner's mind in the Hulk's body, and she was one of the few characters able to make them coexist in that way. So that's kind of an important part. But we've established a pattern at this point of the Hulk's regrets throughout his life and the things that he can't keep thinking about. And you see him getting sad. He's not angry with the Thing. He doesn't keep fighting the Thing because he's angry with him. He's angry with himself. And he keeps fighting the Thing because he's remembering all of these dark things, and honestly, at this point, I kind of see it as being he wants the Thing to try and kill him. And that's a common thread for the Hulk. The Hulk constantly puts himself in situations that would kill any other hero and just kind of walks away from it a little bit pissed off that he was able to walk away from it.
I'm pretty sure I can kill the Hulk.
I mean, I'd watch it and eat popcorn, but I wouldn't.
But I'm not saying I'm not saying I could do it in a fist fight. Okay, but I'm just saying I think I could devise a way to kill the Hulk.
I mean,
do tell.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all ears.
Well, I don't think the son of a bitch can survive without oxygen forever.
Actually, he can survive in the depths of space without an air supply. Try again.
Yeah, but for how long?
As long as he's the Hulk.
Okay, and for him, in order for him to stay the Hulk, he has to stay angry.
Right.
Well, you're not angry when you sleep, so you shoot him with enough fucking tranquilizers to take down a blue whale, put his ass to sleep, lock him in a cage, and drop him to the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
I mean, they've tried that; it didn't work.
Yeah, I don't want space because in space he could fucking no, because in space somebody could be flying by and be like, "Oh, look, there's a giant fucking green thing."
Hey, fuck
let's ignore the fact that there's a bunch of dangerous fucking aliens out here and pick that thing up. All right, yeah, no. I want his ass at the bottom of the fucking Marianas Trench where it's fucking super dark and you can't see anything, and a blobfish is going to swim up his urethra.
You are a sick bastard, sir. I appreciate it. But no, pretty much everything in the mainstream Marvel universe has been tried to kill the Hulk. Short of him being shot into the sun, I don't think they've done that yet. Maybe that would kill him.
Okay, wait, hold on. I got it. Hold on, listen for a second. So, he can't be killed as the Hulk, but the Hulk and Banner are the same person.
No.
So basically, all you have to do is line up. No, listen. Line up about 1.5 miles away with a fucking either a 50 BMG or 338 Lapua. You wait until he fucking tips his head up from his microscope as he's doing research. Pull the trigger right between the heartbeats. Head's gone.
Nah, man.
And actually, at that distance, the bullet will actually come down at a near vertical. So it's not really necessarily just his head that's going to be gone. It'll actually blow his body apart if you use a 50.
I gotta argue in the favor of the Hulk on this one, man. He'll spit the bullet out after he transforms. Even if Banner's body dies, he'll spit the bullet out.
Okay, but that'll make him the Hulk permanently.
No.
Right?
Banner heals because
he
of the
can't
gamma mutation.
Be Banner again if Banner doesn't have a head. Well, fuck.
Yeah.
Have they ever even tried shooting him into the sun? I'm just saying that might be a possibility. They have the fucking technology.
I mean, I don't think they've tried shooting him into the sun, but we're getting there.
Has Adam Warlock ever gone at him?
No, but we'll get to see a fight between him and the Sentry at the end of this whole endeavor.
Okay, I'm just saying because isn't fucking Warlock the one who fucked up Thanos? Like he was pretty instrumental in the fucking up of Thanos.
Yeah, definitely.
Basic.
And it's already been shown that in a fist fight, Thanos can whip the shit out of the Hulk. So if Warlock can whip the shit out of Thanos, and Thanos can whip the shit out of the Hulk, I think it is fair to say that Adam Warlock could bitch slap fucking the Hulk and probably kill him.
Well, it depends on which Hulk.
Right.
Well, see, now we're just getting into semantics.
Well, that's what this show's all about, isn't
it?
The joke is I've been arguing semantics the entire time.
That is correct.
Welcome to comic book arguments, my friend.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, we've got another shot on screen now of the flashbacks and the fight between him and the Thing. They just kind of keep going at it, and the Thing constantly trying to calm him down during this. But we get the shot where Betty Banner was kidnapped and killed by the Skrulls. And obviously this was retconned later on that she lived or whatever, because you can't kill Betty Banner. She's the Red Hulk at some point in the future, so she definitely comes back. But this was 2006, so we're going to pretend none of that's happened yet. So Betty Banner's still dead. But and also, where has she been in the movies? Like, it seems like she'd be fairly important to keeping the Hulk calm, but they just let Black Widow do it, and that just seemed kind of trashy.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
There's another
don't get
female.
Me wrong, I'm all for having more Black Widow on my screen being seductive, but it's kind of like,
Well, I mean, there's another female character just shot to the wayside, like, fuck it, we don't need her.
Well, don't you know, unless it's a black midget lesbian who replaces an already existing white male character, they don't really need her.
Oh, disavow. I disavow. We're still new on YouTube.
Look, I'm not going to say the 14 words, and I'm not going to fucking, be pulling up any of that other shit that could possibly get the channel removed. But I am going to be fucking honest when it comes to some of the bullshit that we see anymore.
Oh, yeah. I'm right
this
there with
you. This is our first official stream, and Phoenix is going to get us banned.
That's right.
No, here's the thing. I've never sat down and read comic books, okay? I never have. That has never been my thing.
Right.
But I fucking love channels like Comic Story and fucking Comics Explained, because it lets me listen to the story and get to know these characters.
Right.
So to see how they fuck with them now honestly pisses me off.
Oh, imagine being somebody who's been familiar with these characters for their entire life and read them from the time that they could read. I used to wait until my father was half asleep to negotiate my punishments with him so that I wouldn't lose my comic books. But anyway, we're pretty much into the third and final issue of the Fantastic Four setup. And we get another flashback. Obviously, this time it's the Skrull killing Betty Banner. We'll leave that one up for a second. But the final issue, we get the fight escalating, and then Banner has another flashback of the leader, Thunderbolt Ross, Shazam, basically all telling him he's never going to be good enough.
Shazam is actually a good character. I like Shazam.
Oh, yeah. Shazam's pretty great. He was actually the original Captain Marvel. My wife and I were discussing and arguing about this earlier this week, but because I forgot that
props
Comic
to you for finding a wife that's as big of a nerd as you are.
Well, I mean, maybe not as
props
big.
To you on that one.
Maybe not as big of a nerd, but she puts up with my nerd, and I think that makes her the MVP. But no,
gotta get her a trophy.
Oh man, trust me, I think about that every day. Let's not get off track here. But no, Shazam and everybody's basically just telling the Hulk that he's not good enough, and that eventually makes Johnny Storm go supernova after he pummels Ben Grimm into the ground, and this calms the Hulk down enough to just stop attacking. He's like, "I'm fine, whatever, I'm good," but he doesn't digress back into Banner. He stays Joe Fixit, which is different. It's very strange to see the Hulk stay the Hulk after he's been rampaging like this. So I think continuity wise, it gives everyone that's been reading this book since issue 1 the hold on, what just happened? We just lost Phoenix. Hopefully he will come right back.
What the hell?
I think he's got a call going on. He'll join back in when that's over with. Thanks for the heads up, Phoenix. Really good
Yeah.
of you. But anyway,
So now we'll talk shit about him for a couple minutes while he's gone, right?
right, while he's not listening. Motherfucker didn't even read the books. But I think this kind of sets up the Hulk to kind of be a different kind of character than he has been previously. And at the end of the Fantastic Four run, we see Ben Grimm talking about how he explained that if the Hulk ever lost it again, that the only thing that they would be able to do is shoot him into space and hope that he landed somewhere he couldn't hurt too bad. And Johnny Storm's like, "Well, when you told that to Reed, did he laugh?" And Ben was like, "Well, strangely, no. Obviously, you and I know now that that was excruciating foreshadowing. But this opens us up to the Illuminati. And I think we'll kind of park here for a minute and just discuss what's going on and wait for Phoenix to get back.
Yeah, this part I'm excited for. I find the Illuminati stuff pretty fascinating. Just from a philosophical standpoint, really. But I don't know how far in the weeds you want to get with this before he gets back.
Oh, well, I mean, by all means, we can fill him in because the Illuminati have nothing to do with the movie, so he's going to be coming in on this raw.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. That would be something kind of that I would like to see them try and do in the movies if they could, personally. But
what, the Illuminati? Oh, there's way too much backstory there. Like, because essentially they'd have to make the Illuminati responsible for Thanos figuring Earth out.
I'm sure they could work. They've worked around so many other things that I didn't know how they were going to do it. I'm sure they could figure out something to do with it, but I just think it would be kind of cool to see.
Well, the only downside about it is the fact that it's one of those things that it's hard for I think a comic book audience, or not a comic book audience, but a mainstream normie audience. I think it's hard for them to swallow something like that.
Yeah.
Just for the simple fact that they've seen some of these characters already. First off, you've got Professor Xavier and Black Bolt involved, and Namor, who hasn't even been introduced yet. So you've got Professor X, who was a Fox property played by Patrick Stewart, sitting beside a young Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange, Tony Stark, who's old, Reed Richards, who is not been in the MCU yet, a Black Bolt who's only appeared on television, and a Namor who doesn't exist. I think it's just too much to put into it. That it's just not worth it for the producers.
Oh, probably. It would still be cool.
But for anybody that doesn't know, the Illuminati is essentially the 6 characters you see center of the screen right now. You've got Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Professor Xavier, Reed Richards, Black Bolt, and Namor. They originally included Black Panther, but Black Panther refused to join their little group because he saw the detriment that it would become later on.
Didn't he join later?
He was involved later on during the Secret Wars 2015 arcs, but he wasn't a member, so to speak. He was just a like an honorary guy that just said, "Hey, I told you guys this was stupid and this wasn't going to work out, so I'm just here to say nah, 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 nah." But no, these guys are the guys that end up getting together. Oh, they're the baby church again. It's not bedtime, apparently. But no, these guys are the ones that got together and decided that the Hulk's rampage in Las Vegas was it was just too much. It was too bad. All right, it sounds like Phoenix is back with us. Let me check. He hasn't made a crude joke yet, so I can't tell. No, not yet.
Yeah. No, he's not. He's not back in the call yet.
All right. But anyway, these are the guys that decided essentially that the Hulk was going to be too much for Earth, and they had to do something about it. So they devised a plan to stick him on a ship and send him into outer space. Pretty simple. I mean, it was already foreshadowed, so.
I just want to touch on real quick, just like I was saying, the philosophical implication of the Illuminati in general.
Yeah, you broke up.
Basically, oh, am I coming through?
Yeah. I think it's my connection
Okay.
more than anything, and Discord being a piece of shit. But what are you gonna
Yeah.
do?
But what I find interesting about the Illuminati is you have these 6 ridiculously powerful and or smart characters that basically come together and think that they know what's best for everybody.
Right.
No vote, no jury, nothing. And it's a real interesting question. When you do get to that kind of intelligence, what responsibility would you actually have to humanity if you were as smart as Reed Richards or Tony Stark in real life? And I find that a very interesting question.
Well, I mean, it's a moral conundrum, I think, because at one point, I mean, that actually comes up in the books. Maria Hill, I believe, looks at Stark and she says, "Well, at what point does the Hulk become your fault?" And I mean, that's a question that you have to ask yourself in this situation. At what point does the Hulk become the fault of the people who are his quote unquote allies and protect him from ever being punished or prosecuted for his crimes or his destruction or his damage or anything like that? And you have,
Right.
you have the situation where you have to ask the same thing about like Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. Spider-Man and the Green Goblin fight 3 times a year, and every year he just webs him up and leaves him there for the authorities to break out and kill somebody again. So at what point is Spider-Man responsible for the deaths?
Right.
And that's the question that's raised about the Hulk, which in turn leads to the Illuminati deciding to send him out into space. Now, funny story. This miniseries, Planet Hulk, and the event afterwards, World War Hulk, all takes place during the Marvel Superhero Secret, Marvel Superhero Secret War, the Marvel Superhero Civil War. Iron Man and Captain America split sides and decide to go against one another. So,
which also is an interesting story. Way better in the comics than the movie.
Yeah, definitely. I think they did a better job with that movie rendition than they did paying homage to World War Hulk in Ragnarok, though.
Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. I thought the Civil War movie was very, very good, but the comic book story is just so much better.
Oh, absolutely. But anyway,
But before we get off in the weeds again.
yeah, the Illuminati was actually a big deal with the Civil War starting as well. So that's something you have to take into consideration. That group is responsible for it retroactively. Nonetheless, it was written to explain and tie up the loose ends, as opposed to already existing when these issues started taking place. So, moving on.
Yeah, I always find that amusing.
I didn't take a screenshot for this because it's just so brief, but in the middle of all this, they released Amazing Fantasy 15 Volume 2, and that was just the introduction of Amadeus Cho, another friend of the Hulk, who is the seventh smartest person in the Marvel Universe, I believe they say.
Yeah. Which I just find that amusing. I don't know why.
Well, we move then from the Illuminati into what a mini series that runs from Incredible Hulk Volume 3, number 88 to number 91. Peace in Our Time is what it's called. And this is late 2006, mid late 2006. So, Civil War is just starting off. But the Hulk is essentially transported from Earth via the ship, and he's supposed to go to a peaceful planet. Well, he gets sucked through a portal and ends up on Sakaar. He gets attacked, enslaved, sold off to a gladiator pit. It really reminds me of Spartacus, if you think about it. Did you ever see that Starz show, Spartacus?
I did not. I don't actually have TV.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
so
it's good that you have a source of comic books now, then, I guess.
Yeah.
Spartacus is just, it's one of those shows that Lucy Lawless uses to show off her breast. One of the many shows.
Well, maybe I'll find a totally legitimate copy to watch online.
I mean, there's really no shortage of Lucy Lawless's breast on television or in media, so you're not going to have a hard time searching.
Well, that's good. Well, that's good to know.
I mean, Xena Warrior Princess was not, as they say, modest.
But entertaining.
Oh yeah. Well, as we get into the lore of Sakaar, we learn that it's ran by what they call a Red King. He's one of the native people. Most of the people have a pinkish hue, but the Red King is obviously depicted as a deeper red color. I don't know if there is some kind of statement being made about race in regards to this or superiority, but there's also a league of people on this planet called the Shadow Warriors, and they are, albino with acid burn markings. But they all seem like the same race of people, so I don't know. I don't know if it actually matters or not, but Hulk does refer to the natives as pinkies, so that's always kind of fun for me.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell what exactly they're trying to say with that stuff sometimes.
Yeah. It seems important because they do make a reference. Instead of just calling him the king, he's the Red King, which makes a parallel with the Hulk.
Right.
He eventually becomes the Green King of Sakaar, but again, that's a couple series ahead. When he finally makes it to the gladiatorial pits, they expect him to die. He doesn't die, and for defying the king goes down to cut him across the cheek, and the Hulk manages to cut the king's cheek. And this is something unheard of because of the power armor the king wears or something like that. It kind of makes me think of Tony Stark's Hulkbuster armor. So this tells me that this place is, at least, while primitive, technologically as advanced as Earth as far as Tony Stark goes. So that's actually kind of a big deal. It tells us that they have weapons
Yeah.
and stuff like that. We'll also get into the Death Head army of the king here in a little bit. I did a little bit of research on those guys because they reminded me, and I was actually right about something for once. But anyway, the gladiatorial fights take place. How much of this did you get into? I know you started on the She-Hulk saga, but did you go back and look through any of this stuff? Or
I didn't, but I know enough of the backstory of this, and there were plenty of flashbacks through World War Hulk.
yeah,
That
well, you remember that he's got his crew that he takes to Earth with him. Well, this is where they actually all meet up. After hitting the king, he's sent to what they call the Maw, which is essentially the training pits. Okay, so they send him there, and there's this 22-man battle royale, and eventually you come up with 7 survivors, and that's all there was supposed to be. So your 7 survivors, let's see here, are a brood, 2 natives, pinkies as they're called, Ski and Eloise, an unnamed shadow warrior, Krug, who we remember from Ragnarok, the rock guy, basically discount thing.
Which interesting fact I just want to note real quick. He actually appears in the very first appearance of Thor in Journey into Mystery. Was it 147?
Yes,
or something like that.
I actually had a note on that. They recapped that later on, where they introduced Krug. He was he and his brothers invaded Earth, and they encountered Thor, who was sent down to protect Midgard, and they retreated, thinking that all humans were as strong as Thor.
That's a good story.
Yeah,
we should put that on the list to talk about.
All right, yeah, I'll write it down here. We're gonna do Lock and Key next week with Mr. Deadman and Becky. Though we're gonna do the first 3 volumes of that, about 18 issues, and we'll probably finish it up around Halloween this year to kind of wrap it around the circle. All right, Journey into Mystery is on the list. People don't realize that these characters were not introduced as like solo titles. They were introduced in anthology books, and the sales of those books made it into where they were characters.
Yeah, and I love those early Thor stories. Anyways.
But then you also have a native bug creature called Meek, which I believe is an allegory to him being a frail, meek character.
Which is changed so drastically in the movies.
Yeah. See, I don't even remember Meek from the movies. I remember Korg.
Phoenix is back.
Oh, Phoenix. We were just getting done talking about you, so good timing.
Oh, what the hell are you saying?
That you were a terrible
Don't
person.
worry about it.
Oh, well, they're not supposed to tell him. We actually just covered the Illuminati and the introduction to Thor on Sakaar. So, the Illuminati shot him up there, and he landed on Sakaar, and now he's making friends the way Hulk makes friends, by beating them.
Well, I mean, that's just kind of the old school way of doing things. You meet somebody new, you kick the shit out of them, now you're best friends.
Yeah.
You got to know what they're capable of.
Right.
Exactly.
But
it's the Irish introduction, as I call it.
Damn right. It's like, I need to know that this son of a bitch that I'm selecting to be around me, I need to know that he can throw some damage. I need to know this.
This is important because, I'm going to throw some damage. But no.
Hey, if I can't count on you to watch my back, why the hell do I want you around me?
Right. Exactly.
But anyway, we end up on Sakaar, and then we were introducing the characters. Now, talk to us about Meek, because I don't even remember Meek from the movie Ragnarok. I remember Korg, and
Meek, oh dude, had no fucking lines. It was just the stone guy introduced us. This is Meep.
oh, okay.
That's it. That's pretty much all it was.
Oh,
And
well.
he was just used for a fucking sight gag later of like he like somebody like sat on him or something like, oh, he's dead. And then he pops back up and goes, no, he's alive.
Oh, that's terrible, because Meek is
He was literally just used for a fucking sight gag.
he is stupidly important to the story. Like, it's ridiculous how important Meek is to the story.
Yeah, I remember hearing some about that he was like really, really important, but I don't know exactly what he did.
Well, you meet him here, and the Hulk has inadvertently saved him twice at this point. So he's pretty.
Interesting.
He's pretty. Well, I mean, the Hulk inadvertently saves a lot of people while he's trying to hurt other people. So.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's kind of his MO.
Right, like he's not trying to help you. He's just trying to hurt someone else, and you happen to be in the way of him doing that. So
Right.
they go through training, and they end up being the gladiatorial team for the guy that they were working with in the mall. Here you get a sight of them once they actually put their armor on. There's a little sight gag there why Meek and the Brood don't have feathers on, but everybody else does. But aside from that, they have 3 challenges they're going to have to go through. And they go through the first challenge, which is just essentially fighting some large creatures in the surrounding area, which end up being, I believe, some of Korg's people, some of his people that have been fried from the control disc that they have to wear so that they don't rebel. That's a thing on this world. If you're captured, you wear a control disc, and if you try and fight the control disc, it fries your brain and turns you into a rage monster, which I'm not sure would affect the Hulk, but it's the only thing they can use to even mildly control him. Because otherwise, he would have just beaten the crap out of everybody and broken free by now. So it's a plot device. It becomes more important later on. So that's another piece of the technology aspect. We were talking about the Red King on this world has armor that's comparable to the Hulkbuster armor on Earth. So even though this is like a primitive, savage world, we've got technology that rivals Tony Stark level armor on Earth.
We should probably mention to Phoenix that the ruler of Sakaar in the comics was not the Grandmaster like in the movies.
No, it was the
So
Red
it was
King.
not, in fact, Jeff Goldblum?
No, it was Jeff Goldblum.
No, it was not Jeff Goldblum. Sorry to disappoint you.
No, the Red King was actually Jeff Goldblum. That's his true form.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm just saying, like, if Jeff Goldblum's not in this, all right, I'm not going to be totally honest here. I lose interest.
I understand. No, the Red King is actually Jeff Goldblum. He goes insane later on and starts burning people alive. So that's
wonderful.
Yeah, that's a Jeff Goldblum thing to do, right?
Oh, of course.
Probably.
But
I mean, let's be honest. There's really no story about Jeff Goldblum being a dick that you wouldn't believe.
As long as it wasn't in real
true.
life. Like, Jeff Goldblum's apparently a stupidly nice guy in real life. He just plays a dick very well. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's what I mean? I've heard the same thing with who's the other guy? Jake Gyllenhaal. I've heard Jake Gyllenhaal's a really nice guy, but you would seriously believe any story about him being a dick.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But no, we get to that part, and they go through their trials. The first trial they beat. Korg has to send his brother off in the ashes. It gets pretty tumultuous, I guess is the word. It's a $5 word that I really shouldn't be using. And I did want to take a moment to just talk about this particular cover. that is one of the most beautiful covers that I've seen in a long time. It's the Hulk wearing his battle armor, but it's like a hyper realistic painting, and it's just pretty. It made
Oh
me
yeah,
happy.
I love this cover art.
It made me happy. So
Oh, nice. I like how they do the I like how they do the top fuck. I used to know the name of it. The fucking the mohawk, whatever the fuck that's actually called in armor.
Yeah, the feather mohawk. The one that was
Yeah, like there's an actual
sideways.
technical term for it, but I cannot remember.
Oh man, it's not like we could Google that or anything. I could tell you, but I'd have to
Yeah,
charge.
well, I'm fucking. Yeah. And quite frankly, I can't be fucked.
Anyway, moving on. We get to a point where Eloise is captured as a traitor after their first trial, and these guys, these metallic robot guys that jump in, these are Death Head guards. Now, brief aside,
Okay.
Death Head was a character introduced in the 80s as a robotic body for some kind of soul transfer. I never really got into it, but seeing them reincorporated 30 years later just made me happy.
Oh, definitely. It's an interesting concept.
So, yeah, instead of a singular character, there's now an army of them. But I just like how the ideas were reached for and brought back. Like, they brought back one of the characters that was involved with Thor's origin. They brought back the Death Heads. I mean, just stuff like that is what made great writing back then. Like, these are comic books you actually enjoy sitting down to read. There's drama. There's
Actually, question on that,
Yeah.
and this is a Hulk question. Does the Hulk age?
very slowly,
Slowly.
Okay, so if he has to fight a bunch of robot men, could he simply pour salt water on them and wait?
Yes. And every time they hit them, he would just get madder
In
and
theory.
stronger, and they would just be able to do no damage while they beat themselves into a pile of parts.
I'm just saying, salt water and metal, they don't mix real well. I mean, eventually they would just, rust out.
All right.
It'd be like the Tin Man, but deadly.
It looks like we have passed
I
into the.
feel like
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, it looks like we've crossed over the 11 o'clock mark, and I wanted to shout out that Nick Rekieta is now in the last hour of his 24-hour stream. It's been there have been ups, there's been downs,
geez.
there have been
Wait,
trials
who
and
is?
Nick Rekieta, the internet lawyer.
Oh, no shit.
Oh yeah, 24-hour stream. He started at midnight last night. I've checked on him a couple of times, and he seems to still be alive. So
That's surprising.
it's been
Man,
tumultuous.
24 hours isn't really that long to stay awake, though.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
but
it's a
with the
long.
way he
Think about sitting in front of a computer and talking for 24 straight hours.
and drinking whiskey like he does for 24 straight hours.
I don't know. Coffee, chewing tobacco, and sunflower seeds are your best friend when you're tired.
Oh, you're a trucker then.
I'm a truck driver. Trust me, I know these things.
I was about to say that you're a trucker. Our guest on the Dead Man's Tome last night was a truck driver, but he was also an author. But yeah,
Oh, nice.
we talked about his series Space Truckers.
Never heard of it before, but I'll damn sure look it up. What's some bitch's name?
Jason Davis.
Jason Davis. Never heard of the son of a bitch.
I'm pulling this up right now because that sounds fantastic.
Actually, it really does.
All right, well, brief aside, ladies and gentlemen.
And he'll understand why I'm calling him a son of a bitch.
Oh well, as
Truck
a truck.
drivers just call each other a son of a bitch because we've all cut each other off and been cutting off by each other.
Oh yeah.
Sons of bitches. Yeah, it's funny. Growing up, my dad always told me that truck drivers are the stupidest bastards that God ever put on this green earth. And now that I do this for a living, I understand. He wasn't wrong.
No, not at all. Not at all. My
Hey, fuck
my
you, dude.
dad. My
Right.
dad was a truck driver. I got a lot of respect for you guys. I have seen some scary shit in my life.
I'm sorry, but that doesn't give you a truck driver pass, all right?
It does.
Okay,
I was born
I'm a
into
truck
it.
driver. I can call it a truck driver too. That's our word. No. That's our thing. You do not get to try to take my culture, white man.
Hey,
Hey.
what if
Did
I
you
was?
just assume
I
my
never
race?
did over the road, but I did local.
Damn right
Oh,
I did, Gringo.
Did you just assume my race? I'm triggered. Triggered.
Well, see, now we got a major problem because you being triggered triggers my trigger, and now we're in a cycle of triggering the likes of which haven't been seen since 1986.
Oh God.
and I just want both of you to. And I just want both of you to get the hell over it and let's get back to the comic books. God damn.
In fairness, the Hulk is the ultimate fucking idea. The Hulk is the one who needs the ultimate trigger warning all the damn time.
He does.
It's like, look, you might stub your toe today. Let's try to not turn into a giant green monster and destroy the city.
Well,
There's a little bit more to the Hulk than that, but very
Not-
reductionist of you.
I mean, not a whole
Well, I
lot
don't
most
see
of the
anything wrong
time.
with being a reductionist.
Yeah. Well, it depends. I don't know. I think the Hulk sometimes gets a little bit deeper than that.
Oh no, I'm not saying that he doesn't get deeper than that. I'm just saying that's kind of got to be his day to day, because look, the Earth's not always getting attacked by aliens. He's not always fighting with Norse gods and robot
No,
men and
it's
shit.
pretty much always getting attacked by aliens.
As long as
there's
it's
got to be
Manhattan.
some fucking downtime. So you got to imagine he's got to wake up every morning on a normal day, and just look himself in the mirror and go, "All right, Banner, just go to work, do some research,
Stay mad.
try not to get angry. Okay, if the test doesn't go the way you want, it's okay. You're smart. You'll figure it out." Like he's got to give himself that pep talk every morning to make sure he doesn't turn into the Hulk.
Motherfucker, he's got to give himself that pep talk every time he goes to take a shit, just in case it comes out too hard. The Hulk has to
Yeah,
make
he's got to be really careful during sex.
No, there's a quick one shot.
Yeah, the Hulk goes to the bathroom.
Yeah, he drinks a little whiskey the night before, gets like real spicy Taco Bell that next morning.
Yep.
It just comes out a little too rough, and he turns into the Hulk and just like breaks the toilet and crashes through his apartment floor.
I want that to be in Avengers now. I swear to God, that would be the best fucking comedy scene that they could have. It doesn't even have to be him being. Just have the Hulk walk into the bathroom. Just you'll see the door close. You'll hear the fucking toilet break. Then you just hear him scream. And he like throws the toilet through the door. Like, that would be like the ultimate fucking just comedy scene to do with the Hulk. Like I think that would honestly be better than the fucking punch that he just fucking randomly threw during Age of Ultron.
I actually am not familiar with that.
Bruce Banner gets hot snakes.
Gets what?
I'm sorry, you were both talking at the same time. What did you say?
I said Bruce Banner gets hot snakes.
Yeah. Oh God, that would just be hilarious.
I feel like there's a joke I'm missing out on, but I'm probably happy because of that. But
yeah, you'd probably be better off not knowing.
Anyway,
yeah.
At this point in the story, the Red King actually steps in and tries to buy the Hulk for himself, and he sends his lieutenant. We don't even know her name yet. We find out later that it's Kyria, and on this world, she's known as the Old Strong. Now, the Old Strong are like super powerful. Like everybody that encounters the Hulk, you have to be super powerful. She's an assassin, a shadow warrior. She's basically the Hulk on her planet.
Isn't this the Valkyrie bitch?
No, this is the one that she was based on. I was going to get into that, but thank you for bringing it up. Yeah. So go ahead onto that. This is and she serves essentially the same purpose, although she's not a drunk and she's not incompetent or disgraced, except for the fact that once she leaves the Red King's side, she breaks a bond, and that's looked down on by her people, but she's not a disgraced drunk because she fell in battle or anything like that.
Yeah, it's a sad thing about the Valkyrie. You fought until you were dead, and if you didn't die, then you were fucked. But also, that's kind of a weird little thing of it, and this is just a total aside, but if you know anything about the actual mythology, Valkyrie, while skilled warriors, were actually never fighters. They were only supposed to fight during Ragnarok.
Right.
Their actual job was to train the armies of Odin and to ferry the righteous dead. So for them to have been attacked would have actually thrown Helheim out of whack. And again, this is just going by the mythology. Asgard itself would have been overrun by the damned coming from Helheim. So sorry, total aside, just a little. I may not know comic books, but I know mythology.
Oh yeah,
yes, yeah. I enjoy mythology too.
I'm a big Norse mythology guy. I was one of the few people that loved the fact that Loki wagered his head, but not an inch of his neck, with the dwarves.
Yeah. My personal favorite Loki thing is when he challenged a ram to a game of tug of war and he tied his end of the rope around his nutsack.
my favorite Loki one is when he shaves off Thor's wife's hair, and then Thor threatens to rip him in two if he doesn't fix it.
Right, that's where you get the gold hair, the hammer, the 9 rings, all that good stuff, and threatened to
the flying golden boar. Which is just so ridiculous, but I love it.
Oh yeah, dude, you gotta love fucking ancient mythology, dude. It's just so fucking hilarious.
Like,
a lot of it's funny, a lot of it's tragic, but it's like I always look at it like this: anybody who says that anybody from a modern day religion is lazy, fuck you. Look at the Greeks. Okay, their gods lived on the top of a very climbable mountain, and just nobody ever went up to check.
Oh no, you want to talk about lazy?
I'd say
Yeah, go ahead. You're about to say what I was going for, and go for it.
The Romans
just copied the Greeks.
Yeah, they were like
changed a couple names.
Yeah, they're like, man, our gods kind of suck. Hey, you guys have some cool gods. We're gonna borrow them for a little bit.
Right.
I think the worst one that they tried to appropriate was the God of War, and I can't remember what he is, but I know Ares is the actual God of War, but I can't remember what the
Mars
is the Roman name.
Yeah, it's like fuck you, dude.
My favorite is the God of Bread. I forget his name, but there's an actual Roman God of bread.
Oh shit! It's like. Here's the thing, too, is like okay. Full disclosure: I'm a Christian. I'm not Catholic, but I've actually been considering converting to Catholicism. So it's like I can't really make that many jokes about them having about them having gods for like really innocuous shit, because it's like there's actually a saint of the internet. Like every profession has its own saint. All right. Like all this weird shit. Like, believe it or not, you guys know who the saint of hookers is?
Saint Leonard.
Straight up, and you can look this up.
Is it Saint Leonard?
Nicholas.
Oh no, Saint Leonard
is Saint Nicholas.
It's horses, thieves, and unborn children. I'm not even
Saint
kidding.
Nicholas, old criminal Santa Claus himself, and it kind of makes sense now why he always goes ho ho ho.
And comes down the chimney because that's how he had to get out before your husband came home.
Yeah. Okay, the last part was a joke, but the whole thing about him being the patron saint of hookers is a real thing.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, as much as I want to fucking make jokes about them having different gods for everything, it's like, well, fuck, man, Catholics have saints for everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Catholics are kind of crazy too. I mean,
kinda.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I will say this: the new pope fucking did something I actually really like. He actually changed the Vatican directive and said, no. Every one of you motherfuckers now has to report to the police any kind of fucking sexual harassment or sexual assaults.
No, that
So
should have
there's
been
no
done.
more of the fucking
What-
shuffling.
Wait, you
No,
said the Pope
absolutely.
actually did something good?
Yeah, I know it's crazy,
Wow.
right? Because I think the Pope needs to shut the fuck up and stay out of American politics, personally.
Or stay out of any
Oh.
politics?
Yeah, I mean, straight up, I'm an American. I don't really give a fuck about other countries. Like, and I don't mean that in like a bad way, but it's like I don't care about their. Like, I care about my country's well-being because this is where I'm
Israel,
from.
right?
The rest of the world
we
needs
love
to worry
Israel
about
here.
themselves.
No.
Oh,
Except
totally.
I believe is okay. If we want to go down that route, I believe Israel has the right to exist. That is where I stand on it. I do not think that no. The amount of aid that we have given them, I think, is way too
agree.
much.
I
I think
agree
we need
with
to
you.
get the
I'm
fuck
with you
out of
guys,
their
yeah.
affairs. But when you have the two sides and one of them says, we believe that the other side has a right to exist alongside us, and then the other side says we need to eradicate every member of that other race, I'm going to side with the one who's more of like, you know what? Hey, live and let live.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I agree with you there.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's
Just to dispel any rumors, no, we are not a channel run by the Jews.
Shh.
Allegedly.
All right. Well, let's blow through this because I've still got.
Channel taken down. I might actually be in reality.
I disavow, but we have 24 images to get through, and we're only about halfway through this, so we got a little bit to blow through before we can finish this up. I don't want to be here till 4 o'clock doing it by myself. But moving on. We find out that after the second trial, that the last trial is going to be the group going up against the Silver Surfer. Now, Eloise's father has died at this point, so we're down to 5 people that are actually fighting. You've got Korg, you got Meek, you got the Brood, you got Hiram, which is the Shadow Warrior, and you got the Hulk. So, to find out that the Silver Surfer is on this planet and has been captured and had a memory disk put on him makes it a little more believable that the Hulk has been controlled in this way. Because if you can control the Herald of Galactus, you can control the fucking Hulk.
Right.
Okay, question. Is this and this is actually a legitimate question. This is for knowledge. Is this pre-merging with because I know at one point the Silver Surfer merged with Ultron. Is this pre-merge or post-merge that he's got part Ultron?
I think this is pre-merge. I've never even heard of that. So you're talking new gospel to me. But as far as my history goes, I'm only up to the 80s. But I don't believe.
Okay, yeah, that would have definitely been before that.
Yeah, I don't believe. Well, and they retcon a lot of stuff out too. That's something else you have to consider. It's a lot of times when a mistake is made or editorials don't like something, they'll just change it and retcon it to where it never happened. So
right. Like Spider-Man One More Day.
Right. Like I don't know that the Silver Surfer has ever merged with Ultron in our current Marvel continuity.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
So that's definitely something that I'm adding to the list to look into. Because that sounds awful.
It's something that, and I'll tell you where I found out about it from. It was a comic story video. He was doing a story how Deadpool had to go find a way to kill Madcap, so he had to go into space to go to the Watcher's old house essentially. In order to try to find a weapon that could actually kill Madcap, because Madcap had the same regeneration as Deadpool.
Right.
And it was somewhere in that it was mentioned. I believe that was the one where it mentioned that he had merged.
Okay.
Well, if it's a Deadpool comic, it's probably not in the main continuity.
Well, not even that. I would just say that if it's a Deadpool comic, never take it at face value because Wade Wilson has the Joker syndrome, where 9 times out of 10 he'll be telling a story and then he'll tell the same story and it will be completely different. He had a retroactive edition. Go ahead.
Right. Oh no, I was just gonna say Deadpool's awesome and we should all respect him.
Oh, absolutely. He had a retroactive.
He's
Oh,
Deadpool is
definitely.
the reason. Deadpool is the reason why I've been getting into comic books, because he's fucking cool and also really tragic. Like if we ever want to do a Deadpool episode on this live stream, dude, I'm your man.
Okay. All right.
That's a lot of material to cover.
I
Dude,
know.
I have invested probably 300 to 400 hours of drive time listening about Deadpool.
All right.
All right. Well,
Okay, so all right,
Is-
well, we'll just go with the. So yeah, we'll just assume that right now he's pre-merged Silver Surfer, if that actually is canon.
Yeah, I just Googled it real quick. Yeah, I believe it is pre-merge.
so
Okay.
so we've got the Silver Surfer, who's under the control of the control disk. We've got the Hulk, who's under the control of the control disk. Now, the Silver Surfer proceeds to open up a can of whoop ass on this group, the likes of which they have never seen. He proceeds to whip the shit out of all of them to the point that they regroup and say, if he makes another pass, we're done. We die. And after which they they say that
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Church. My Discord's fucking up. I'm going to reset it. I'll be right back.
All right, no problem. I'll stumble through and you'll be able to pick up.
All right.
All right, 10-4.
But Silver Surfer just proceeds to whip their asses to the point that they regroup and realize that they only have one chance, and that's to try and take out his control disk. They manage to do this, and what he does is uses his power cosmic to destroy every other control disk on the planet. So he frees all of the slaves on this world and just sets into utter chaos and anarchy. This is
Good times.
this is about the time that everybody realizes what's going on, and the Hulk and co decide to destroy the gladiatorial arena, and everybody just starts running amok. It's essentially the end of the series. They meet back up with the Surfer, and the Surfer offers to take the Hulk home, and the Hulk essentially says, "Well, I am home here. You know, I've tried everywhere else. I've tried on Earth, and I work here. So he's committed to staying. Um, you know, the next couple of books pick up issues blah 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 blah. Issue 94 into I believe 94. No. Oh yeah, 96 through 99. They basically are the comeuppance of the Hulk and this world after they're all freed from control. The Hulk and crew are warbound at this point, and that is a sacred bond. It's the reason that they actually 96 through 99. Yeah. Who was that? Is that you, Ayrton? Try again.
Wasn't me.
Who? What was?
Your audio is coming through a little choppy. It may.
Sorry.
It's probably on my end.
Mine is?
Yeah.
You're sounding fine now.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're coming in a lot better. I think it just had to catch up.
Okay.
But this series is essentially kind of like Meek's backstory. They go through, they free a lot of Meek's bug people, and he essentially evolves into the king of their people. They find the last queen of their people, and you kind of get to see that he and the Brood character are still filled with a lot of rage based on the way that the pink inhabitants of this earth have treated their people. You know, it's a character arc for Meek. It's not really important to the World War Hulk storyline, if as you will, because you've already gotten the story of how Hulk ends up here, and you don't really need to know what goes on at this point, except for the fact that the lieutenant from before and the Red King are still after the Hulk. The Lieutenant and the Hulk get into a fight. This is one of the more epic scenes from that particular showdown where it shows that she's strong enough to make him feel that she's there, even if she can't beat him. And they kind of go at it for a
Right.
little
It's
while.
like, I may not win, but you're going to remember me tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. And they get into it. They just start throwing down, and then the Red King releases something called the spikes. Now, the spikes are creepy. They're essentially a cosmic entity that, when they're confined to land, they have to absorb the energy and merge with whatever they can that's organic to stay alive. So it's kind of a
Kind of like a
tragic.
symbiote.
Yeah, but not as cool. Yeah, essentially a symbiote, but not as cool. They're being used by the Red King as a weapon to try and herd in the Hulk and anybody that's dissenting against him. And the Lieutenant finds out about this. Well, the Hulk sends her away from the battle to try and save her so that they can have a fair fight later on, and so that she can essentially save a nearby village. And the Hulk realizes that he can fight off the spike infection. So we get this pretty grim scene right here, which is just fantastic artwork, if you ask me. Like, comics were drawn really well back then. And this is only 10, 15 years ago. This isn't even like 80s, 90s level stuff. I mean, this is just great artwork that actually has time and passion in it. Greg Pak's run on the Hulk is always going to be remembered. Even if he was just the writer, the artists that worked with him and the storylines that he laid out were just fantastic. But they all start fighting the spikes, and they realize that they can only die via fire. Well, this is where they find the last queen held up in the encampment that they're supposed to be saving. And that encampment's harvesting her eggs for food. That's a big no-no to Meek and his people. But this is another thing that they, kind of get into in this story. This is a slave race on a world. So it gives you multi-layered storytelling. Like right now, we're just trying to get to the point where the Hulk leaves this planet, but there's so many layers of depth to this story that I just felt that it would just not be doing justice to start off with the Hulk showing back up pissed off.
Right. Yeah, there's a ton of backstory.
So, I mean, honestly, if you really wanted to get into it, you kind of have to start with Hulk #1 and Rick Jones, but we're not doing that.
That'd be a long stream.
Yeah, it'd make Racket's 24 hours look like nothing. But this is one of the more heartbreaking shots of the entire story arc. This is where the Lieutenant Kaera turns against the Red King because he basically drops bombs on his own people, and she's holding a child is killed. It's kind of a heartbreaking moment, and you see that the Hulk accepts her, and she becomes warbound with the group as well. So at this point, you're back to an original count of 7. You've got Korg, Meek, the Brood, Hiram, the Shadow Warrior, Kaera, the Shadow Warrior, and Eloy, the Pink Skin, with the Hulk. So we're back to the original 7. I'm not really sure if there's any importance to that number being the number of people that started in this group, being the number of people that finish it off, but I just figured that was something that was worth pointing out.
No, I just want to point out again just the artwork in these panels.
Oh yeah.
Like you can feel the emotion and the drama coming through based on the facial expressions and the coloring and the tone,
right?
All that stuff, and it's fantastic.
Well, I've been told that there's a 7 to 9 page limit per book that you can use, so I've obviously kind of kept under a few pages per book. It's normally like 3 or 4 shots, but there's a reason
Yeah.
that I picked this one in particular because there were no words on this page. I didn't edit that out. This was a page that was literally all art panels, and it conveyed its message so perfectly that I wanted to at least showcase it for a moment.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this has to be probably the best page,
Of that comic,
at least
yeah.
in this part of the story.
Yeah. And then at the end of that series, we get this shot where the Hulk expresses to everyone in the kingdom that he's coming for the Red King. He's coming to dethrone the Red King and free everyone under his rule. They've taken to calling him the Green Scar throughout this, and there's a lot of lore in this part of the story about the two beings, Sakaar Sun and the Worldbreaker, the savior and the endbringer to these people. Sakaar Sun is essentially the second coming of Jesus, if for lack of a better word, and the Worldbreaker is the entity that will bring upon the doom of the civilization. So,
Or the second coming of Mary, if you're Catholic.
yeah.
Not yet. I'm considering it.
Well, obviously we're going to get to the climax where you have the Hulk fighting the Red King and taking him down. You've got some really good.
And see, ladies, we took our time getting to the climax.
That's right. You can never rush. You can never rush. But yeah, the Hulk essentially beats the living crap out of the Red King for, I don't know, a good 3 or 4 pages, and sends him to be finished off by the wildebeest, who are the metallic creatures of the forest in this area of Sakaar. And then you go into the next handful of stories. That'd be Incredible Hulk number 100 to 103.
Wait, hold up. Time out for a second. I just have just kind of a general question.
Yeah.
And this is just, this is an opinion thing. Wouldn't it have made more sense if he would have given the Red King to be finished off by the bug people?
No.
I mean, that just seems to me like it would have been much more poetic because, I mean, he's the one who enslaved them.
No, I think... Mrs. Church has checked in to say that she heard God of Bread, Impanda, or Panda, the God of Bread and Food. So, thanks, Mrs. Church, for that. But I'm going to have to get an Ethernet cord because I think the stream kind of drops in and out a little bit. So I'm going to have to get an Ethernet cord and hardwire in for tomorrow night. I've been meaning to do it for 2 days now, and I just didn't. So I apologize. The recording will the recording should come in through. So we'll see.
Okay. Hey,
But-
look, Church, I'm gonna be honest with you, man.
Yeah.
This is a lot of fun. All right, and I'm not dipping out right now. Okay.
Okay.
Just letting you know for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is WrestleMania.
Oh no, you're good, man.
I have the WWE Network.
No,
Okay,
you're,
I'm just.
you're good.
I just wanted to be straight and upfront with you. Like, if you don't hear from me tomorrow, it's not necessarily because I'm depressed or because I got to drive to Tulsa. WrestleMania is on.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate you being on tonight. Like I said, I just I wanted somebody who had an outside.
He's going to be over in.
Go ahead.
He's going to be over in on Tonka Radio's channel
That's right.
for WrestleMania tomorrow.
That's right. He's going to be.
You go fuck yourself.
It's miserable over there.
There's 2 things you got to remember. Never piss off the guy who's crazier than you, and never piss off the guy who can find you.
Hey, you're
I am a
assuming
truck driver, and I'm
you're
insane.
You're assuming you're crazier than I am.
He is a musician.
Oh, son, I
Phoenix.
know I am.
He is a musician. So
Let me ask you this: have you ever bitch slapped
Yeah.
a bull?
No, but as
You ever
Church
bit
has
the head
said,
off a live rattlesnake?
all right, gentlemen.
I am a musician.
Gentlemen, put your penises back.
You
We got
ever
a show
drink
to finish.
rattlesnake venom? You know
all things I've done. Trust me,
I
I
mean,
got you by a mile, son.
I've drank 178 proof straight homemade moonshine. That's close enough to rattlesnake poison.
First of all, no, it isn't. And it's venom. First of all, actually, second of all, yeah, it's venom, not poison.
Gentlemen,
Get that shit right. I'm from Arizona. This is important to me. Secondly, I made my own moonshine, son.
All right, guys. Let's pull our penises back into our pants. I can mute both of you, and I will do it.
Oh man, I think I had my dick out. That was just the tip.
Yeah, don't make church turn this stream around.
I will pull the stream over on both of you. Anyway, the next set of books, issues 100 to 103, they pretty much they show the rebuilding of Sakaar and of relationships. I think is really the takeaway from this part, because even amongst the surviving people after the Emperor is taken down, you've got the Pinkies and you've got the Bugs, and there's obviously still going to be a lot of turmoil there. So the Hulk is like, you know what? Fine. This is Sakaar. Get your asses into the gladiatorial pit, and we'll handle this on Sakaar the way we always have. And they show up, and as they're about to fight, the Hulk's like, you know what? Fight. Go. And he jumps in, and he just starts raising hell amongst all of them to a point where they have to start fighting together against the Hulk. And in the, I think I saved this one. If I'm not, I'm an idiot. But, yeah. Then you get a picture of the Hulk with spears and swords and shit all sticking out of him, and he's like, all right, it's over. I won. If anybody wants to argue with me, I'll kill every one of you. Now shake your brothers' hands. And everyone starts to understand what kind of peace has come over this world since the Hulk has shown up. And that's just so parallel. It's so parallel. What's the word I'm looking for? Polarizing to the Hulk's character. Because usually he's just the bringer of destruction. Wherever the Hulk goes, destruction is sure to follow. But here, his brand of destruction and justice has brought these people more peace than they've ever had. But I thought this is another one of those panels where he's just like, you know what? You can't hurt me. Stop hurting yourselves.
And that, and again, going back to the art of that, the Hulk standing there with spears sticking out of him, like mostly shadowed, is you don't get that kind of art today.
No. And
Right.
this goes further into the lore of the story as well, because everywhere on Sakaar that the blood drains out of the Hulk, anytime that he bleeds, the foliage starts to grow. So again, this whole arc is really just about rebuilding relationships and whatnot. And one of those relationships is with the Kingdom and the Shadow People. Well, the Shadow People usually present a warrior to the king as their personal guard. And the Hulk is like, no, I don't want a guard. I need a wife or a queen. And this is where he and Kyra link up for the first time. And part of them linking up is, her asking him to reveal himself fully to her. So he allows Banner to come out and explain the origin of who he is and how he works as a hero. And she accepts that, and he turns back into the Hulk because the Hulk has allowed Banner to come out at this point. The Hulk is in full control of the body at this point in the story. That's what this tells me, at least.
Which is an interesting parallel to the movie Phoenix. If you want to touch on that real quick, I think that's a cool part of Ragnarok there.
Hold on, sorry. Exactly which part are you referring to?
When Thor gets the Hulk to turn back into Banner, and he talks about how the Hulk's been in control for the past 2 years.
Oh yeah, no, that was very interesting. The only thing about it is he actually says he does not remember anything. That the last thing that the movie Hulk remembers was being in the plane itself, which is kind of weird because he was the Hulk in that when he was in the plane at the end of that fight and when he went out into space. So he can remember that, but he cannot remember any of the 2 years. So basically, all the fucking kick-ass story arc that the comics gave, none of it is ever revealed through the Hulk's character. And he talks about how he's worried that if he ever turns back into the Hulk, that Banner will never come back again because the Hulk will not let him back in control.
Right.
Also, it was kind of hilarious watching fucking Thor go, the sun's going down. The sun's going down, big guy, and having him scream, will you just stop?
But no, we carry on through
Also,
this.
when he jumps out of the plane and just splats on the bridge, that was pretty fucking hilarious too.
Well, later on in the in this story arc, he frees the spikes, even the enemies that he had made, you know, fighting the Red King, the spikes and mutants. He actually makes peace with them. Let's see if I've got that here. No, I think we may have already passed over that, but he frees the spike people, and when he had to do that by going up in space, and Meek's like, well, we don't have spacesuits. How's he even gonna? And the Hulk's like, no, we have the Hulk, and he just leaves the space shuttle, and opens up their vessels and lets them back out into space to absorb the cosmic energy like they were designed to do, and then jumps back down to the planet. And they say, oh, I guess he's taking the express route. But
okay,
this yeah, this entire arc is just kind of a transformation as the Hulk is a peace bringer and a rebuilder. Like he brings so much, just prosperity to this world, and the people really do start to look at him as a benevolent leader. So that makes what happens next all the more tragic. Is the core in his ship overloads and blows up and destroys the majority of the kingdom. Now, when this happens, most of the Warbound, with the exception of the Hulk and Kyera, were away from the kingdom negotiating peace treaties. And Kyera dies, pregnant with the Hulk's child. So all of the peace that he's found, all of the inner peace that he's found is just destroyed in a single instant. And we don't know why the ship overpowered, but we do know it was the ship that the Illuminati sent the Hulk to Sakaar on. So that just reignites his rage for those people. Even after he's accepted being a monster and living on this planet, he's revisited by the rage for these people, because even away from them, without even interacting with them, they've taken everything from him again. And that's just tragic.
Right.
Now, in the background,
Damn.
in the background, we see that Meek and the Brood are screwing around on that ship before it blows up. And that's kind of a hint. It's foreshadowing from hell, which is one thing that I can say about comic books. Once you've picked up on the tropes of comic books, or soap operas, they're the same. But once you've picked up on the trope of these books, you can kind of see what's coming from a mile away. But that doesn't make it any less intriguing to watch it unfold.
Right.
So, this just
it's kind of like, well, I mean, I guess that can kind of be said of it. Well, like you said, the tropes of it, of good guys win, bad guys lose, is kind of. We let's be honest. Do we really think that fucking Captain America is going to lose when we go watch a Captain America movie? Hell no, he's the captain.
Right.
So it's like you already know how it's going to end, but you sign up, you go along for the journey.
That's not necessarily true. I mean, we were talking earlier about the superhero secret, or the Civil War, that and that was hero versus hero. So in that regard, somebody has to lose.
Yeah.
But we get the Warbound coming back in a ship, and they have a robot with them that has a complete map of the entire solar system. So after the explosion, they say, I can guess that there's somewhere you want to go. And we get the shot of Earth and the moon in the screen, and then the shot of the Hulk standing on the hull of the ship, pointing a sword at Earth, and that's where we pretty much leave off with Planet Hulk. So before we get into World War Hulk tomorrow night, that's pretty much the intro to it. So I feel like an idiot now for taking so many production notes, but I know I can tone down my spurgery a little now and just make jotting notes as opposed to writing 30-something pages.
Well, it's all good, man. It's better to be more over prepared than under prepared.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Phoenix, coming from mostly just like the MCU and stuff. Like, what do you think of like the story overall?
Honestly, it's a lot darker than I envisioned. I mean, I already knew that the Hulk was a very tragic character in a lot of ways. But I mean, the part about losing his child, especially, it's like that's, that kind of, I mean, that, I'll be honest, that fucks me up a little bit. But no, I mean, just the whole thing, I mean, because again, all I knew from it was like the movies where, he's already on Sakaar when we find him. Like, we don't know what happened from the last 2 years. Then we find him and he's living this lavish, happy lifestyle as a gladiator. And, so just to see, to know the backstory of everything that happened and also get, a lot more depth on the side characters like that bug dude. Like I said, in the movie, he was just used for a fucking sight gag.
Right.
Yeah.
So to actually know like where he's coming from, like, oh yeah, definitely. I'm digging this.
Right. And the reason that the reason that
Go
he
ahead.
went through and basically destroyed the Hulk's life on Sakaar was because the hatred that was bred in him. He was inspired by the Hulk when the Hulk first got there, because the Hulk runs on rage, and he didn't want the Hulk to change from that. And it's not that he was trying to kill that woman. I think he just wanted to keep the Hulk mad. And
Right.
while it's a bad call, I mean, it's definitely a great catalyst for what comes next in World War Hulk, which is just a train ride from beginning to end. Like, you think that the cartoon was funny or whatnot was bad. The comic book version of World War Hulk, I mean, I don't know that they could write it in today's environment.
Oh yeah, it gets intense.
No, you could write the same story. You would just have to change certain things. So instead of it being the Hulk, it would have to be a black midget tranny who is also gay, and all of the bad guys would have to be straight white males. So you do it that way, you can do whatever you want.
Okay. All right.
You forgot that the black midget gay tranny also has to be a furry.
Oh, of course. I mean, that just went without saying.
But,
also they have to be suicidal, as all trannies are.
Oh, of course.
Okay, to be fair, not all trannies are. It's something like 40%. And see, I personally think that we need to do better. We need to get that number to 85% by the end of the year. We got to work together on this one, boys.
That's I disavow.
Are we disavowing?
Yes, disavow.
I'm going to hell.
Yes, that is. These are not the reflections of the Church of Failure and the Gospel of Comics. These are not the thoughts.
Bullshit, Church. I read the script you wrote for me to the fucking letter.
Look, he can't produce evidence, screen share or nothing.
Look, totally honestly, people, I had to screen out all the white nationalist stuff. Okay, I'm mixed race. Right? I didn't feel good coming out and saying the 14 words.
Well, Ayrton, it was great. It was a great run. I'm glad we had. I'm glad we got 2 shows off the back.
Yeah.
I'll make a new YouTube channel and kick Phoenix from the server. It'll. We'll try this again next week,
as they say.
We'll try this. We'll rebrand.
There's nothing wrong with what I just said.
No,
the Church of Phoenix is an asshole.
But no, for real though. As far as World War Hulk goes, it's such a deep and intricate story, and I don't think it works without knowing at least part of this. Now, we've just been talking about this for almost 2 hours now, and we really didn't even scratch the surface of all of the depth and ineptitudes of this story. But if to do that, I mean, we would be here literally all night, just kind of going over the different character arcs, like the importance of how Krug was introduced in the first introduction of Thor, and how that character was brought in. The arcs with Jalera and the subatomic universe. All of this stuff actually matters because it brings us to a point where the Hulk is a character that he is today, instead of this one-dimensional character that I feel like the MCU has made him.
Yeah. The
Right.
MCU has definitely downplayed the depthness of the Hulk as a character. In my opinion.
Like, the only thing you know about the Hulk is, like, Banner is smart and kind of a pussy, and then that the Hulk smashes things. I mean, at one point, I think it was the second Avengers movie, or no, it was the first one. It was one where they fought Loki. Cap literally turns to Hulk and just goes, "Hulk, smash."
Yeah.
And then he just smiles, and that was it. That was the depth of this fucking character, was he just smashes things.
I will give them credit for giving the Hulk a better story arc in Ragnarok and Infinity War. I'll give them credit for it.
I think the solo ventures of the Hulk failing as miserably as they did, kind of to set the standard for him not having solo movies and just kind of being shoehorned in with other characters.
Right.
Yeah,
and I
definitely.
mean, going back to the general audience thing, it's hard to do a deep Hulk story to a general audience.
Right.
Well, see, I don't know about that, because I mean, I think the problem that the Hulk movies had is they were essentially the same movie twice.
Oh, yeah.
No, like, basically, it was just the same fucking movie twice. They just tried it with two different actors, but they didn't actually make it better. But again, and I'm going to use Deadpool for this. Deadpool, like the Hulk, is one of those characters that has, a niche but very dedicated audience. Yet when Deadpool came out, everybody loved it because it was actually a really well done fucking movie that told a story. Now, I think that if they could do the same thing with Hulk and actually bring, the better elements of it to it, I'd watch it. I would. I'd give it a shot.
I'm sure a lot of people
it's the fact that they didn't do that.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people would
watch
it. I'm sure a lot of people would watch it, not taking that away from it. I'm saying just in the terms of the ability to develop a character like the Hulk. I mean, it almost feels like you would need a Lord of the Rings trilogy to even scratch the surface of his origin story. I mean, when you really get down to the nitty gritty of it, because
what I think what they should have done is in between Avengers, Age of Ultron, and Thor Ragnarok, they should have done a Hulk movie. And that would have been the perfect time to show him landing on Sakaar and having to go through, basically the arc that we just went through tonight. I mean, obviously they'd have to clip it down for time, but you know what I mean? Like, you could actually show him going through that arc, but I mean, obviously they would have to cut it off once he goes into the, once he brings back the gladiatorial arena.
Unfortunately, Universal still technically owns the right Hulk, like the movie rights. They're just allowing Marvel Studios to use him in the Avengers movie.
And
okay.
And not only that, I mean, I look at the idea of a Hulk movie where he's on Sakaar. I mean, because essentially they would have had to stop before anything real happened. Like, they essentially would have had to stop right at the very beginning of the story. So we may have gotten part of the end of Age of Ultron repeated, and then him landing on Sakaar. But I mean, it would have been an hour-long movie at that point, because picking up in Ragnarok, you're picking up where he's not even going against the Emperor yet. If they would have.
Right, but see, what I'm saying is they could have done it how, basically, did the Hulk story arc that we went through, but like you said, like you're saying, he re-implemented the battle arena. So they could have had him
as a gladiator in the arena still, and there still could have been that, that they still could have used Jeff Goldblum, because again, Jeff Goldblum makes everything better. We can all agree on this. But they still could have had him set up everything to bring Thor into the arena to fight, and then you still get the reveal. But it's just that would have been a good standalone Hulk movie, and they wouldn't have had to change Ragnarok very much, because again, they could have done the same storyline. There would have just been more backstory on the Hulk of why he was there.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I think that particular arc wasn't done justice, and I think that's actually why it was suggested last week. Anyway, guys, it
probably.
is.
And it's a good story.
Well, it is 11:59 now Eastern, so I will thank you both very much for your time, and wish everybody that came by to watch and chat or dropped us a message. Not as big of a crowd tonight as we had last week, but again, Recada's 24-hour stream, and whatnot.
Yeah.
But we will be back tomorrow night, roughly 10 p.m. Eastern, to jump into World War Hulk and see what we can do with that.
I thought we were doing 6 p.m.
We can do 6 p.m. I'm a boomer and have
Hey,
had a little
whatever
bit of
works
drink.
for me.
I will be watching WrestleMania, but I will come back and watch the stream later to get caught up, because this actually sounds like a really good story.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you again for stopping by. Ayrton, again, thank you very much for joining me on this. I don't know if you noticed or not, but I dropped your info and your YouTube channel in the description here, so people can actually find you.
I saw that. I appreciate it.
All right, and we will.
And I am working on. I'm recording a little opening song thing